the 5th Geo. And we should say that R stands for reborn. You know, it's reborn. It's a brand new one. So as we're getting with all the newer Planet Eclipse gun, they've gone to this like fabric kind of case. It's very similar to the previous ones that were aluminum, but I think these will probably, you know, that's what the aluminum case used to be like. You know, it's the same size and thickness and all that stuff pretty much, but it just kind of looks like crap after time. So this is probably one of the worst cases I've ever seen in my life. The Geo 2 case that's just destroyed. So hopefully these newer cases will look, you know, slightly better over time. And they got this cool bungee handle, which I kind of like. The other previous cases didn't have a handle at all, so I like that. And there's a gun. See, that's the best color. I like that color the most. There's a few other colors. They have like that aqua color. I don't remember the exact color names. All these paintball companies always name their colors all crazy. Like Onyx Midnight Pearl, and like they got like crazy stupid names. I think that is Prestige. They've named that color Prestige in the past, but I don't really know. I didn't look it up. I should have probably looked. And I really like that. I think just looking at it, I think it looks really good. It looks probably the cleanest out of all of the Planet Eclipse guns. Mainly, I think just because they got rid of those eye covers. You know, we're seeing on like the CS2, CS3, really all their guns, right? They're going to have an eye cover. So they have that huge, like, I don't know, trapezoidal eye cover on the thing. And it just looks really clean. I really like how this top is just super flat and it just kind of looks like a tube. I really like that. It doesn't have any of the weird situations that like the Geo 4 had. The Geo 4 trigger frame came way down low and was all crazy, mainly because it wasn't necessarily a new gun. It was kind of like the CS1, just kind of repackaged a little bit in a new frame. And then this gun is really kind of completely new. Like if we compared this to the Geo 4, quite a bit of new stuff, really. I mean, you can just look at it and really sort of tell. I didn't have any pictures of the Geo 4. I really should have got Geo 4 pictures. I don't know why I didn't think about it. But you can really kind of tell. So the previous Geo 4, the foregrip was much longer. The gun was much more compact. It was much taller because that trigger frame and the placement of the solenoid and the electronics, they just kind of had to make the whole entire area right here quite a bit bigger. So the whole gun was just bigger and taller. The trigger frame is kind of the same really as the 4 once you put these new grips on it. But really this rear trigger frame is going to be exactly the same as the CS3. Something that I really like. I really like how they've kind of narrowed the trigger frame up a little bit. It's not as wide as it used to be. I mean, it's barely noticeable comparing like the CS2 to like this or the CS3. That trigger frame's not that dramatic, but you can definitely feel that different size. The foregrip is also about the same diameter as the CS3. It's certainly a little bit longer. It's a little bit wider, so it makes that whole front foregrip feel quite a bit larger. Not quite a bit, it's a little bit larger. It's bigger, you'll feel the difference. But it's not as large as the CS or the LV2. The LV2 front grip is still quite a bit larger. And these things are $1,650, so they're right in there really with all the other high-end guns now. It's $200, I should say $100 cheaper than the CS3. I'm not really sure why though. I don't know why. I can't like, you know, it's not like cheaper or anything. I'm not really sure why there is a price difference. But I just really like this. I really like how clean the thing is. It's slightly longer than the CS3, and I actually made a cool little video so we can actually look at the differences in length between the CS3 and the LV, not the LV, I'm sorry, between this and the CS3. So if we see right here, this is a video. And this will, whoops, I guess we should put it on a loop. This video, yeah, will loop around. So we're gonna have Geo right there. And then it's gonna transition right there into that CS3. I paused this. So you can definitely see the CS3 is gonna be more dark right now. And you can see how that CS, or the Geo 5 foregrip kind of extends out a little bit in front of it. So CS3 and then R5, CS3. This kind of stops and clicks like that. I could have done that a little different. And then it transitions to be a little bit smaller in that CS3. So you can kind of see that foregrip length difference, at least between those two, and you can definitely feel it. I mean, you can even look at the gun, if you guys are really familiar with, you know, this current CS3, just how it's a little bit longer. What are some of the actual, like, feature things they changed? Obviously, we talked about they don't have that eye cover anymore, but it's still very similar in there. So you still kind of remove the eye covers the same, not the eye covers, but I should say you kind of remove the eyes about the same. They still have that clip, just like the CS3, except for now they just have this little dealio. That's where they put that, ooh, that's where they put the prism. You can see that prism in there that actually takes the infrared eye right there and then puts it on the inside of the gun. I gotta get like used to putting these things in there though. Is it right? I feel like it's not in there. There it is. Yep. And yeah, before they had a spare ball detent right there as well. No spare ball detents. You can actually see those two holes right there on both sides. Those are there to actually hold spare detents if you actually want to do that. You know, I've never actually like done that. You know, every time I change my detents, I just kind of get brand new ones rather than taking them out right there or removing those. I guess if you're in a pinch and something goes bad, but detents aren't really going bad all that often. And there's also the new GR drivetrain, which also is going to be very reminiscent to that IV core that was in like the 3.5 or that's in the Go4. The major changes that they've done is just increase the volume a little bit because this body is a little bit longer. They're able to increase the volume. Increasing the volume is going to make it a little lower pressure and shoot a little bit smoother. It's practically the same thing. It comes apart a little different now, though. Previously, they just unscrewed in different spots. They unscrewed like right there, and then this piece stuck to there, and it just unscrews a little different. They've got rid of that cone that was definitely on the top. Getting rid of that cone just helps add maybe a little bit more volume as well. That bolt isn't, you know, entirely a new thing. But from my experience, shooting this specific gun and shooting other Go5s, is this thing certainly shoots a little bit better. I think it's very, very similar to the way my Go 3.5 shot. So it's no question the closest gun I think that I've shot. The closest gun, no question, the closest gun that I've shot that shoots like my 3.5 shot or something. I really enjoy the way these shoot. It's more of a traditional spool valve shot, whereas these newer guns from Planet Eclipse that are using these gamma cores, like the OP core that's in the CS3, they're a little bit more snappy and quick. So they feel like they're a little bit more like, I don't want to say more kicky, but it's a little bit more like responsive feeling or something. Whereas these are going to be a little bit slower when they shoot, or a little bit more laggy, they feel. I mean, it's slight, you know, it's not actually more laggy. It just kind of gives off that impression. So it has that more traditional spool valve shot feel. They've also kind of rejiggered the solenoid. The solenoids are no longer in the front. I mean, obviously, there's no reason, there's no way for it to put it right there. Solenoids right here, like all the current guns. But you know, one thing that actually does is will actually slow the rate of fire down. So these guns aren't going to shoot as fast as the previous Geo. So don't expect to get like, you know, 20 balls at a second out of this thing. It's probably going to be in the 17s or something, which isn't really, you know, a problem because no one shoots that fast. They've also changed the FSR. We can take off these grips. Forgot you got to take out the bolt technically now. I'm just ripping them off. So that solenoid flow restrictor, you can kind of see right there. You can see that plus and minus right there. That's indicating bolt speed. So if we put that screw, we can kind of see in there. There's actually a silver screw in there. You can see that plus minus. So if we turn it up or down, we're going to slow the bolt speed down. So the gun shoots a little bit quieter, maybe a little bit smoother. If we put it in that plus category, the gun's going to be a little bit, you know, a little more kicky and a little bit quicker feeling shot. That's going to help with, like, you know, adverse conditions. If it's 30 degrees outside, you can kick that FSR all the way up, that solenoid flow restriction, and then probably like battle through those cold conditions. This is also coming with another solenoid flow restrictor. It's brass, and that brass just indicates that it's different. It's somewhere in that, you know, somewhere in this parts kit in there. But the brass one is actually even higher flow. So it's going to slow that bolt down even more. So maybe give it even a softer, there it is right there. Even give it a softer shot if you use that brass one. They leave that silver one in there, those stainless steel ones, because it's a little bit more versatile. That brass one's going to have problems in really cold weather, whereas that steel one, because it's a little bit sharper of a shot, can kind of fight through that sticky grease that happens when it gets cold outside. Put grips back on. I don't know. I think that that's kind of all. I said it was longer. There'll be no mechanical frame. I can't do this on camera. I gotta hold the gun different. Hard to get grips in there. And I always worry I'm gonna like break these grips when they're on brand new guns. I get like worried that I'm gonna break something. Yep. CS2 and CS3 triggers do work. So any CS2, I messed it up. There we go. Any CS2 or CS3 triggers will work on it. I said no mechanical frame. Yep. The one thing you kind of do definitely notice between this and the CS1, or the CS3 I should say, is this still kind of has that like banana shape to the foregrip, just like the Go4 or that CS1 did. You don't really notice it. It's not like crazy. It's not like a big craziness. It's definitely not as noticeable as like the Go4 or CS1 was. I have a friend who just bought a CS3 last week, and he was going to buy one of these, but holding it, he just didn't like how big it was. So he decided to go with the little bit smaller CS3, and he's a big dude too, so he's not like, you know, small. I mean, Angelo, he's probably like, I don't know, 6'1" or 6'2", and you know, a healthy sized man. So he decided to go smaller. It does shoot well. It certainly shoots good. But that foregrip is big. I mean, you definitely like, you know, definitely notice how big that foregrip is.